Hello, volunteer judges. I'm Diana Sorobi, SSIS debate coach. And in this video, I'm going to put together some important steps for you if you are going to be judging for our school at one of the online tournaments. So I'm putting this together specifically for the Harvard tournament in late January of 2023. But I'm not talking tournament specific because I'm hoping that this video can be used for training for upcoming tournaments as well. So first of all, I want to say a giant thank you because you are giving a few days of your time in this commitment to make debate more possible for our students and for students all over the world. So I hope that you are excited to get to know more about this activity that someone you know closely is really into. Why do we need your help as volunteers so much? Because every public forum debate is 2-on-2. So a team of 2 students against another team of 2 students debate, and in every room with 4 students, you have a judge. So most tournaments require teams to supply at least one judge for every 2 teams. In some cases, it's one judge for every 1 team, as is the case in the Harvard tournament. So in a nutshell, our debaters can't do this really rewarding, wonderful activity without the presence of an adult or more experienced judge. And they really rely on volunteers to make public forum debate and all forms of debate run smoothly. So you'll find that there are parent volunteers. Of course, there are coaches and teachers who serve as judges, but public forum by nature is meant to be judged by members of the public. Sometimes people are anxious about, they're not sure if they know all the rules, but essentially it's the student's duty to convince you that their argument makes for a better world and is more persuasive. So again, thanks for your time. Thanks for making this happen. Now I'm going to walk you through what are the steps that we need to make it happen. So you'll see in the email, and I'll go through most of them. The first and most important step, it cannot happen without linking your Tabroom account. There is a video in the body of the email created by another coach that I have sent you. That step usually takes just 2 minutes, but nothing else works without it. Of course, watching this video, which you're already on the way with. And then when you're finished this, I invite you to take a little quiz, fill in the Google form just to check your understanding. You can do that as many times as you need, but you'll get the feedback of what the correct answer was, just in case there was any confusion. I am always available by email. Send me any questions that you have. Anything really, if you're wondering, please ask. And I will host a Q&A session every time. For the Harvard debates, I'll run it virtually through a Google Meet on January 26th. That's also in the email for you. So as I mentioned, signing up for tabroom.com is the first step, and I would like you to do that immediately. If you haven't done it already, before starting to watch this video, please do it today when you're done watching this, or even pause the video now and go and look at that other video and do this. This is the platform that will send you notifications about who will be debating that you will be judging. It is the platform that will connect you to the video icons, the rooms that the debaters will be debating through, and it will connect you to all of that information. It's also the platform that you'll enter your ballot in. It really is the management system for debate, and I cannot successfully register you as a judge, which is the step I'm taking care of before the winter holiday, without you having a linked Tabroom account. So the team would incur fees, and you wouldn't be able to do this unless you got this step done well in advance. So you'll go to tabroom.com and you'll get to a page that looks like this. You click in the top right-hand corner the sign up and fill in your information. After that, please pause this and go to that other video that I have emailed you, and that will be there. If you've already done this, no need to do it again. This is a one-time deal, and you are kept on as a judge as long as you are associated with SSIS. I won't make you go through this again. So if you were to do this in a future tournament, you can zip past this step. Okay, so once you have your Tabroom account, things to have ready on the day of the debate are a place to take notes. I'm old school. I do that on paper. And for me, just a blank sheet of A4 paper is good. I'll draw a line down the middle, pro arguments on the left, con arguments on the right. I will provide you with a paper packet. It's attached to the email too, but I'll send it home with the debater that you know. It's got a bunch of details, including the overview of the times for public forum debates, so the times for each of the components and speeches. You'll need to be familiar with that. And you should have a timing device, because part of your role as a judge is to help keep things running efficiently and help the debaters keep time. You may want to have a judge paradigm, especially for the more official university tournaments. And what this is a statement of what you look for in a debate, a statement of your preferences. I will share in that judge's packet an example of my own paradigm and some other simple ones. They don't need to be overly elaborate, especially if you don't have a lot of experience. You can state that so that the debaters know. Some tournaments allow debaters to look ahead at their judges' paradigms, and I believe the Harvard does this as well, so that they can choose to eliminate judges who might be biased against their particular style, or that they can prefer judges that do like things that they do in their particular style. It's a cool advantage, and for this tournament, I recommend you have something. I'm happy to help you craft that. You can mention whether you like them to speak fast or slow, etc. So where would you enter your paradigm? It would be once you're in your main page on Tabroom, on this right-hand panel in this area that I've circled here. Okay, so you have it in the guide, but if you want to look at this more closely, you can pause this. This goes through all of the parts of public forum debate. So you have two teams with two partners. The first partner speaks the constructive speech. They do not always go pro first and con second. You may have the con team speaking first. This is one of the negotiations that teams can make after the coin flip. So in an online tournament, coin flip comes out as a digital blast, and it tells the kids who won. They have to click a button and they can submit whether they want to be the pro or the con team, and whether they want to speak first or second. So sometimes you will have con team speaking first. So you just need to make note of that wherever you're taking notes so that you can keep it straight. It should be clear what they're arguing. So the first partner from the first team does the constructive speech. This is one where they really lay out their pre-researched case. Then the second team does this. Then those two have questioning. After that, a rebuttal is delivered by the second partner from team one, and then the second partner from team two. In the rebuttal, they should be addressing what they heard, and they can still build new evidence and information. Then those two have a crossfire in which they ask and answer questions. That's followed by a 3-minute summary where the first partner comes back and now should not be introducing new arguments. they should be hammering home why they won that debate and why their opponents lost that debate. So they're bringing what was presented in the earlier two speeches back to light for you. Then all members, all four, can participate in questioning in the grand crossfire. And finally, the second partner comes back to do what's called final focus. This is more big picture than the summary. This is, why is the world better if we vote for the resolution or against the resolution? Why is it better to leave things in the status quo? So that's a simplification of all of these different parts. And I will provide you with resources that go into a little more depth if you like. So the aims of a public forum debate are essentially that the affirmative or pro team needs to prove that the world will get better if the resolution is passed. They need to be able to convince you with evidence that if you vote for their case, lives will be saved, the environment will be improved, or the economy, it will lead to more freedom, better health, the environment will be protected, and they need to develop that impact. They need to not just list research, they need to explain their logic and analyze the so what. How does this make the world better? The con team has the job to just cast doubt on that. They need to give evidence that the status quo is better. We don't need to waste money on investing in this, or this has the potential to backfire, whatever it is, that's their job. So as mentioned, the coin toss will be virtual. You don't need to worry about that. By the time you enter the room as a judge, all of that information should be available in the ballot that will appear in your Tabroom account. So your job as a judge is threefold. First, you need to choose the winner of the round. There are no ties. You do need to make a decision of win and loss. As much as possible, keep your outside knowledge and outside opinions separate. You need to make this decision based only on the information and research and analysis that the teams before you present in this round of debate. You also need to consider whether the opponents responded to those arguments. If somebody made an absurd argument, but the opponent didn't challenge it, then the absurd argument, you have to assume, could stand. Your second duty is to award speaker points. I'll go into the range soon, but each individual speaker will be awarded a point value, and you shouldn't have ties. So if you have 4 students, one is going to be the strongest speaker, you give that the highest, and go down in increments of decimal points. The specific tournament will let you know. Sometimes it's to 0.1, sometimes it's to 0.5. And you will provide some written feedback on the ballot. That will come digitally through Tabroom. I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. But your feedback, you can speak to the debaters after if you want. That's optional. Written feedback is not optional, and it will be published to them the next day. So they and their coaches can read this. You will provide a reason for decision. So you should point to the evidence that swayed you or the things that they didn't challenge on the other side. I'll give you some samples of what those look like. And you should give some comments to each individual team. So that's the place where I put stuff that's a bit more private, like, hey, you missed this chance. Make sure next time to speak louder, or whatever it happens to be. These kids are going to be skilled debaters, but there's a wide range of experience. Give them something that they can grow from. This feedback is one of the most important learning tools for them. Okay, so down to the mechanics of it. On debate day, you'll get an email, and when you log into your Tabroom account, and you'll always want to be clicking on that top right hand area with your email, you're going to get a ballot, and you click into that, and this is what you will see. So you will see, oops, let me go back to that. The school's name, and then these initials represent the last names of the debaters. And you'll click on this little video icon to enter the room. And as long as you see everybody there, then you click start round. And in fact, even before sometimes everybody arrives, if you know they're on their way, you click start round. That lets the people running the tournament know that this round is okay. The people are there and it's good to go. It basically is your taking attendance. So once you start round, it opens up the ballot for you. If you need help during the debate day, I'll go into this a little more, but this visual shows you nicely. This green button is very, very important to push. This camera on the left of it will be where your debate is happening. Sometimes tournaments run it slightly differently, but it should be very self-explanatory once you get to the tournament page on Tabroom, which system you go into to find your room. But what I want to point out here is the judge lounge. There is usually a judge lounge that's a good place if you have any problems. So let's say one team shows up and the other team doesn't. This is happening all around the world. Possible that it's the middle of the night and they fell asleep. So if you have a team that didn't show up, there's two possible methods that you could go. They may give you a help button on the right hand side here. They'll tell you about that in an email, or they will have a judge lounge, and there's a staff member of the tournament who can help problem solve. It's basically when you go into this, it's a Zoom room. You can keep your mic and camera off unless you have a question, and then you go in and just ask a question in the Zoom call. Also, if you don't get around, that's possible that you will be scheduled for a bye, but you need to hang around for the first 10-15 minutes to just in case they need to sub you in because another judge hasn't shown up. So Judges Lounge is an important place to know. Please always click that start round green button. All right, so when you're making your judgment, don't allow your own personal bias to come in. I'm sure you know that. Focus on what facts the debaters presented. But you will consider these weighing mechanisms, and good debaters will help you with this in the final focus. Scope is the number of people that this affects. The more people affected, the more serious it is. Magnitude is the strength of the effect. So, do you save a life? That's a very strong effect. Or save $1. That's a little less strong in terms of magnitude. Reversibility, if this decision is made, can we fix it if it doesn't work out? Probability, how likely is it to lead to success? And time frame, if it's going to take 100 years to make a change and we have other possibilities that can change before then time frame is an issue. Okay, so when you make your judgment, these are some factors to weigh. At the end, unless you're told otherwise, you can tell them who won if you want to. If you don't feel comfortable to do that yet, then you don't need to, but you do need to enter it into the written ballot. And you do need to enter into the written ballot the win-loss and speaker points right away. Your comments can be edited up to the end of that day. So speaker points fall within a range of 25 to 30. It seems like a small range, but anything under 25 is a horrible score in debate. It means that somebody was really using profanity, offensive, totally insufficient. 25 is bad, but they tried. 30 is you couldn't do it better yourself. And then there's a range in between. So as I mentioned, decimal points are allowed, and that's what broadens the range of this. So you can give a 25.5, a 26.2. Very likely it's going in increments of decimal 1. I'm not sure, some of them it's 0.5. You'll see if it's not possible, you need to work around that. But basically within the group, you don't want to have ties. All 4 of the speakers you observed should get a different score. You need to weigh what's been said in the speech more significantly than what happens in Crossfire. In my view, Crossfire is a place for them to clarify and to calibrate what comes up in the following speech. It's not the place to really weigh their argumentation, but you might consider how they're questioning in your evaluation. In your judges packet, you'll also see a rubric. A lot of experienced judges don't use this because the arguments and evidence are actually what is weighed much more heavily. But if you'd like to consider the delivery, that's it. It has an influence. Better speakers make their arguments clearer. So here's an example of an RFD, or reason for decision. It's one of the most important things you do, and taking really good notes helps you write a good reason for decision. The minimum is usually 50 words, so it doesn't have to be overly lengthy, but please try to give a reason for decision that does better than say, "Good job, you spoke well," because that doesn't help the debaters understand what swayed you to decide for one side or the other. It doesn't help the debaters learn and grow. At the end, when you click that submit ballot, so you have the start round button that's green, and then this is how it will look when you enter your ballot. So you're going to choose from this drop down menu, the choose winning entry. You're going to tick either pro or con. It makes sure to list the school name and the kids' names so that you can remember who really clearly was pro and who really clearly was con. So you pick them in the drop-down menu, you pick pro or con, and then you assign speaker points. So let's say Benjamin got 28, Brianna 28.5, Anthony 27, and Mandy 26.5. So these people had higher points. I would likely be voting pro, but there is this low point win possibility. And what that means is the arguments of the ones with lower points were more convincing. So they still win, but the others were better speakers. So this is rare. Sometimes they'll want to ask you some questions if you choose this, but it is possible, and you can choose that if you have this box. Down below, is where you'll type your reason for decision. So you can type up the reason you made this choice, feedback for the pro team here, and feedback for the con team here. You just click the tabs. This is only seen by their team and coaches. The reason for decision goes to everyone. And at the end of the day, if you're finding, next round is starting, and or you've been at it for more than 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, you want to save this feedback and come back and edit it, but they're going to move this tournament along quite quickly. You may need to go back into your comments at the end. Okay, so this is a separate video that I'll include, and you can come down to this slide and watch it if you'd like a demonstration of how I input a ballot on Tabroom. It goes into a little bit more interactive stuff. And I'll I'll skip to the next slide. So you may encounter issues during the debate. I'm available in a limited capacity because I'm also judging in this tournament. So if I'm in the middle of a round, I need to give that my attention. But there's tournament staff that can help you with that. So if the most common one is a team doesn't show up. If a team hasn't arrived in the video room or is missing, and we're like 5 minutes after start time, then what you want to do is pop into that judge lounge or reach out to the tab staff. There should be an email. They'll send it to you in advance as once you're registered as a judge, maybe the day before the tournament. They'll say if you have issues throughout the debate, contact this email, or they might have like a chat function within Tabroom. There's lots of options, but they'll give you somebody. And once I learn that, I'll try and remind our team of judges who we would reach out to if we have an issue. If you don't get assigned a round, but you're available for that time, it is your responsibility to check in the judge lounge and just wait with your mic and camera off in that Zoom call. So I often have it on in the background so I can hear if they're calling my name, but I might be moving around making coffee or doing some housework, and that's okay. Another thing about debate is prep time and evidence exchange. Each team can use 3 minutes total of preparation time throughout the round. They can ask for it at any pause between the speeches. They can either run prep, where you'll just click your stopwatch and keep track of that, or they say, I want 1 minute or whatever. So as a judge, you should help them keep track of their prep time. Most students are responsible and track it themselves and are honest, but sometimes they try to extend the prep time. One slippery slope with the extending prep time is evidence exchange. So experienced debaters should be asking to see cards. And when they're calling for cards, they'll exchange this through the chat function in your video room or through an email chain, which you can ask to be put on, so that they can examine each other's research. When they do that, you need to run prep time if it's taking a long time. But if they're just doing a quick check, oh, okay, yeah, I see your source. Now I have some questions, then you don't generally count that against their prep time. And I think that that's all in terms of what I'd like to share. If you have other questions, email me anytime or save it for the Q&A, but that'll be the day before the debate. Please fill in the Google form and watch those other videos. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for your support with this tournament.